This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball in his mind. Live from the heart of America, on air and online at the Ticket FM. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
That's all right. Welcome to it on a Wednesday. I'm Austin Norman. He's Eric Strickland in the building. Still feeling a little better than yesterday? Unfolded from the plane slightly?
I mean, bodies recuperated, but let's be real about it, Austin.
We're always
red eye flights, they stink. Mm-hmm. They're good, but they stink. I have never been, I would say ever since kind of retiring, you have just these little aches, whether it be in your knees, hips, back. Your body, I don't sleep well on the plane. Just can't get comfortable. Like, it doesn't matter. First class exit row, it doesn't matter. Just don't sleep comfortably. And I was tired. So flight left late, you fly in, you get to your next location, you got a short layover because you're transferring. And you just get thrown off. And I love the ticket so much. So I said, I got to come down here, get with my boys.
Yes, sir.
Hang out with them. And I got to do it all again tomorrow. Good gosh.
Have to or get to?
I have, I've talked to you about cerebral sports.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a meeting with them, some updates, and we've got a big meeting with a gentleman by the name of Rodney Woods. Rodney Woods was one of the guys that when I first came to Dallas, kind of took a liking. He's a hooper. He's still hooping these days, and he's older than me. He's in his mid-50s. And but he works with T-Mac, and they have a company together, and we had had some conversations, sent some information to them, and so we're going to go meet with them and just kind of see if there's some synergies there based on what they're doing and what we're doing. And so because I facilitated that, you got to kind of be the handoff guy, similar to like a relay, right? It's like yes, a relay. You gotta be the guy. Mm-hmm. Just hand off the baton, let them do what they do best. And just be in a support role. Yeah.
It's your interest, so you got to be there. Get to be involved.
Got to in some form or fashion.
Speaking of interest, something you're interested in, I know that I'm interested in, that our listeners are interested in. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul back open today. Go get you some. Plain and simple. Sticks to your ribs. Just leave you feeling good all day.
If it wasn't going south, because I got to go home and still pack. And when I went to Cali, I went only just because I took golf clothes, change of clothes, comfortable clothes, some shorts in case I decided to work out, a couple pair of shoes, and a pair of jeans.
Nice and easy.
Small, small getaway. Because, that freaking golf bag is like something else, right? And then I had to, obviously, because I still work when I'm on the road, so I had to take my, my mics and lights and stuff like that as well. So I was thick in that area, but I wasn't thick in the suitcase. And so I've got to go change and readjust because it's going to be a different type of getaway. So I had to come back and do it, bro. My sister was like, Strick, why didn't you just stay? Because I went through Dallas, right? She's just, why didn't you just stay here? I was like, nah, I got to get back and change clothes.
Well, we're glad to have you back. Glad to see you in studio today.
It's always good to come in the studio, man. Especially now that we're on the stream and, Allo 951, where you can find us. It's always good to, be in studio next to you guys and having good conversations, chopping it up. A lot of stuff in the news today, man. Some disappointments in some ways, some things that may hurt. And you got to ask some questions why.
Let's start there because this is a conversation that we can take wherever you want to go. Whether you want to go, the former player route or just the neutral observer of the roster route. Hunter Salas announced his decision today.
Yeah.
Not Nebraska. Going to Wake Forest. I'm going to give you my opinion, Strick, then I'm going to get out of the way. Floor is yours. When Nebraska lost out on Javian McCollum, the Siena transfer to Oklahoma, I didn't think it was that big a deal because that to me said, okay, McCollum must have some indications that Nebraska is going all in on Latrell Wrightsell Jr. and Hunter Salas. Those are the guys they want.
Yeah.
That's what that told me. It's like, okay, good for Oklahoma. Would have been nice to have him, but he must be getting indications. Well, then we find out Latrell Wrightsell Jr. is going to go to Alabama. Better program
Different
than
type of
Nebraska.
red.
Different red, for sure. Thought Nebraska had a shot at him, but he goes to, a better, more, sustained program at this point in Alabama. Can't really, be too upset about that. Good for him. He was making a move to a good program.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, he missed out on those two guys. You got to get Hunter Salas.
Right.
You got to have another young guard, another guy that can fill in for Emmanuel Bandamel.
And you miss Trout too.
You miss on Trout. You miss now on Salas.
And
Wrightsell.
Last year you missed on, your real first pick of the draft was Shireman.
Yeah.
You missed him too.
So you're 0 for 4 on local
basically,
kids.
other than Greasel.
Right. So 1 for 5 on local kids. And the only other one in the pipe right now, potentially, is Josiah Alec, who seems like he can be a nice role player, but I don't think he's going to have quite the impact that a lead guard would have had in Wrightsell or Salas. So this begs a couple questions. Number one, did Nebraska just get out-recruited, by Alabama because they have more to sell right now? Did they get out-recruited by Wake Forest, who was an NCAA tournament team? Steve Forbes is doing some good things. Or did Nebraska really do everything in its power to get these guys?
Like I said, I know the families, and I'm not going to divulge in depth, but I can divulge surface level conversations that I had, like with Senior. I did not reach out and talk to Salas because I didn't want to be a part of that process. If I was connected to the university, that would have been something I would have done. I've known Jessica and her family and them for a little bit. Just had a little discussion with them, kind of just pick their brain about things, and if I had been connected, but being that I wasn't, I didn't. In that standpoint, but I did because I'm really, really close with Latrell Wrightsell Sr. and having the conversations. I will say I will divulge this. Fred and the crew did a good job, based on what they told me. Did a great job. They liked him. They felt good about it. They thought everything with the facilities were good. Opportunities with, probably NIL was going to be there, being local. Mm-hmm. I would say probably liked it a little bit better than up the road. But at the end of the day, I think this was a decision that most young men would do. And it's similar to what the mentality Stricky had coming out of college. And that was a mob mentality. I had a money over, other things. Mm-hmm. Mentality. Like, I literally was focused on the task at hand. And I think that's what Latrell Wrightsell Jr. is, based on the conversations I had. Mm-hmm. He really is focused on next level move ups. And he felt that being here could have possibly been, I don't know for sure because I didn't talk to him, but it could have been a distraction, because you got to be built different to be home and to be able to play at a level. You're going to be constantly hounded. You got to think about all the things that's going to happen on a young man. You're going to be constantly hounded. Everybody's going to want tickets. I remember when me and Dre were here, even with Badge, just how much we got hounded, got pulled in so many different ways. People in the street were saying, "Oh, you guys should be, doing this, or you should be doing that, or you should be playing this." You're getting all this type of stuff, right? And I think it's good sometimes just to kind of separate yourself from those situations. And him moving up, he wants to stay focused on the task at hand, and that's getting to the NBA and going to the next level. He felt that was probably the best place for him to do so.
And that to me is a very mature decision.
Yeah.
Where, yes, Nebraska's had, some success with guys, but some guys in the NBA. Alabama's done it for the last, 5 years.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently. So if that is his mentality, he's going to get the same or a very comparable level of competition in the SEC. It's still a jump up in a system that I think will really play to his strengths.
I think so too. You're right. Austin, I think you're right. The system, I think, fits him perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
He's a 3-level guy. Yes, their point guards handle, but their point guards are called on to do other things too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really good system for him too. I think the Nebraska open system could have been good for him. I think it takes the ball away from him a little bit. But now here's a discussion you got to have. You lose Salas, you lose him. You need a lead guard right now. Where's he or she? No, there's no she. Where's he coming from? I let's be real. I don't know. And so now you've got to take a look at Keisei Tamanaga. What decision is he going to make?
Mm-hmm.
I would say he would have loved to land somebody like them.
Either one of them, if not both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have, okay, I got somebody that can go, a little running mate with me. Without that, no Derek Walker, because they had a good relationship. You could tell they really gelled together. Now you've got to gel with a whole new crew, but you're just unsure and you don't know.
And you're top of the scouting report. There's no one that's going to, at least right now, Strick, there's no one that's going to, bump Keisei from the top of that scouting report.
No.
Latrell Wrightsell scoring at 3 levels might have. Hunter Salas handling the ball, at least someone else to worry about, especially as explosive as he could have been. Bryce Williams is a fun piece, interesting piece, but I don't think he's going to do a lot of ball handling.
Yeah.
So
they're going to call on Jamarcus to step up a whole nother level.
That they are.
Yeah.
If there is a lead guard out there in the transfer portal somewhere, which again, don't know the names, didn't really care to look because you thought you had to go all in on, two of these 3 guys, didn't get them. It's probably going to be someone Kobe Webster level, transferring from Western Illinois up. He can play a role. Kobe Webster definitely had a role at Nebraska, not a star.
Not a lead role, yeah.
So in that case, Strick, you are almost 100% banking on internal development. In Keisei Tamanaga taking that next step, and Jamarcus Lawrence getting more consistent, at CJ Wilcher getting more consistent, at Ramel Lloyd being ready from day one as a redshirt freshman. Not to say it's impossible, but Strick, that's a lot to ask of a lot of guys to even get back to 500 where you finished this year.
You're so right. It's like all of these pieces. Okay, I guess a good analogy for me is like this. Tetris, right?
Mm-hmm.
How the things come down and you have to shape them, move them to be able to fit in a specific way in order for you to be able to not die, right? That's what it feels like for Nebraska right now. It's like everything has to fit perfectly in a way, I think, for them to have success. I'm not saying, they can't win games. I'm saying stepping up from where you were. I think
make a postseason tournament.
Listen, I think you're right. I think 500 this year is a loss. You've got to you surpass expectations. Okay. You're on the verge of breaking through, a couple games here and there, maybe that Purdue win, couple games here and there, you break through. But you can't be there. You can't be stagnant there. Sauter Heyman text line 402-464-5685 or those on the stream. If you're listening right now to the sound of my voice, listen. What is success for Nebraska this year? I talk to me. Talk to me, Austin. What do you view? I say postseason definitely, I think, has to be. I don't care which one it is, something. But I think you've been at that bottom tier, and I said success was that. I think you got to be, I'm not saying 9. I'm not even saying 8. I'm saying you need to be up in that 6-7 range for me. That's the jump I'm talking about. You've been at 10. You've been at that, play that first game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you made some, but stagnation in this year with a down. Tell me in the Big Ten, who's going to be the one that emerged? If Zach Edey jumps over and goes into the NBA, what do they got? Indiana.
Down TJD. What do they got?
Michigan State. Great coaching. They're going to have some dogs. They're going to have some guys. Illinois.
Who knows?
I mean,
Northwestern
lost 2 of their best guards. Yeah.
Wisconsin gets everyone back, but that wasn't a good team this year.
It wasn't great. Now you got great
Rutgers,
leadership.
We'll see.
Ohio
State could be dangerous. They're bringing a lot back, but really down this year. Michigan up in the air.
Talk to me. Hunter Dickinson hasn't even figured it out yet.
Maryland, Who knows?
Who knows? That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
You have no clue. You can really, I think this was a great opportunity for them if they could have landed. And I mean, it's not over. You still got some time, but help me to find out where it's going to come from.
Strick, that's what I don't know. Because if you stay at 500 again this coming season, that's a step backwards because you were expected to take that next step. This was supposed to be the foundational year to leap forward, and missing out on the guys that you did. Again, not saying it's impossible, but you better be right about the guys on your roster.
Them Tetris things better fall in the right. I mean, they got to all come out right. You need to know, it's different playing when playing that game. If you guys are big gamers, you would understand what I'm saying. There's a way that you can play the game where you can see what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also a way to play where you don't know what's coming next and you've got to figure it out on the move. That's what it seems like Nebraska's situation is. They don't know what's coming out next, and they've got to we got to make this adjustment. We got to make this change. We got to shape and mold this. Who's going to be the team? Who's going to step up? Who's going to get busy in the summer?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm watching for.
And that, to me, Strick, the not knowing what's coming felt like the first 3 years of Fred Hoiberg. The grab bag. Who can we get? How many stars were by their name? Can we get them to campus? There was at least a plan last offseason. You target Griesel. You get Bandamel and Gary out of the portal. Key additions that fit the culture you wanted to build. Whatever the plan was this offseason was either A, a bad plan, or B, it didn't work. So now, even if you had the ability to see in the future, you gave that up. It's gone. And now you're left dealing with, honestly, kind of the scraps of the transfer portal.
You are.
Right now. And that's a problem.
You better hope you hit.
You better. And that raises this question to me, Strick.
You better hope you hit like Kansas State. Go ahead.
Has it been a lost offseason for Nebraska basketball now?
I mean, I would say there's got to be worry. There's got to be concern.
Mm-hmm.
Because other than Hunter Dickinson right now, when you're looking in there, most of the guys, when I look at their number, the big one's gone. The ones that can go, for the most part, there might be a couple, sparsed out in there a little bit or something, sprinkled out in there, but we are uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty. Then you've got to figure out, do they fit? Are they cultural type of guys? Do they do they have something we can build off of? You really got to do your work. Like, this is now, you probably got to work harder than you've got to be watching film. You got to be going and really checking them out. Go and watch them work out. Go and check them out in the summer. Have conversations around their whole sphere of influence. You gotta do work now, like real work, because you need to find out for sure what you're getting.
Just looking at the guards, so I'm on the on-3 guard rankings.
Yeah.
Just a few names to throw out there. Not that we've heard anything about them, but just options. Elijah Hawkins, sophomore from Howard, is in the transfer portal. He's 5'11", 150. That's not Big Ten size.
No.
Probably across him off the list. Pasha Alexander, 5'11", 200. Played against him a few times when he's at St. John's. Streaky shooter at best. Not sold on him. Andre Curbelo has been around the Big Ten. We know what that experience is like. I don't think that's what Nebraska needs.
Mm-hmm.
That style of player. Aaron Eulis from Iowa in the transfer portal. Not sold on him.
Yeah.
Fine. Not consistent starter level in the Big Ten, I don't think. And then you're kind of getting down into the weeds. But the point of bringing this up is any guard that you would have heard of before is off the market.
Yeah.
Those ships have absolutely sailed. So again, you either
there's
got
a guy
out
out there like an Arturo Morris. I remember him out of Dallas.
He's got some of those dreaded character questions.
There we go. See, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to really do your work. It's not going to there's nothing falling in your lap. I don't think us on the basketball side of things have great NIL potentials to really be out and go out and steal somebody. I think Fred and the group has worked. They worked hard to try to land more NIL situations and opportunities, but in the meantime, in between time, it's competitive out there. And I think other teams probably doing a little bit better than us right now. We've got a great brand. Nebraska has a great brand, but the brand isn't going to land. The brand is not going to land. It solely, not only on the brand. You're gonna have to do a little bit more to get these young men to make a decision to come here. And why? Why? That's why I was kind of dumbfounded by Jameson Battle. That really threw me for a loop. I was like, really? So to me, great player, but that maybe it's a losing culture mentality. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know what's behind his decision. But Deion Pryor says, no, be patient. Come on now. Fred's fine. There's over 1,500 players in the portal. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players in there. But I'm saying you're going to have to do some work. And that's like hitting the lottery, hit and miss. Go ahead.
I get what Deion's saying about be patient. There's that many players. But here's the thing. Guys get snapped up in the transfer portal. They don't wait around. They like to make their decisions quickly. Yeah. Nebraska was patient. Nebraska fans were patient, right? They saw Joe Girard go in the portal, go out. They saw Kirk Kriisa visit and go to West Virginia. Again, two guys that I don't think would have been the best fit, but at least had high major experience. Because you're waiting. You're being patient with Wrightsell and with Salas. That was what being patient was. And now they're gone. No, the time isn't to be patient because, yes, there are that many players in the portal, but Strick, of those, say, 1,500 that's left, maybe 20 of them?
Maybe 20% were really solid. You might have
that's when it started.
3 to 5%. Right. That's what I'm saying. Starting 3 to 5% of them are gems, diamonds in the rough that you're just like, they came from like a Western Kentucky, even like Latrell Wrightsell Jr. I think he fits in that category, right? Then you have those premiums, which are gone. So now you've got to be thinking that out of those 1,500, only really 24%. I think if you did the math of it, it's like between 24 and 28% really land in better situations than what they left from. So that number's already shrunk.
And that's 300 players. There are 363 teams in Division I men's basketball. So you're looking at less than one per team, and you're looking at a lot of the same schools going for the same guys. And of course, we know all Division I isn't created equal. I know, Florida Atlantic and Fairleigh Dickinson did their best to make us say, Division I's all the same. It's not. We know the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the Big East, Big 12 are different. There's just not that many difference makers left at this point.
Yeah, and they may go cross. Like I was saying, I think this is what I think the portal more than anything is providing a lot more parity. I think the littler schools are getting better. For sure. Because the littler schools have to do the work. They don't have the big budgets to just kind of be lazy and sit down on and just rely on your brands. And, they don't have that. So they got to go and do the work. They got to go and dig, and they got to be miners and start going into the coal mines and getting dirty. You know what I mean? That's what they've got to do. And sometimes they find those gems. And this is why you see what happens a lot of the times. Sometimes they're undersized. Marcus Noel, the only reason Marcus Noel wasn't doing his thing in a big time program is only because of his size. He was just overlooked because of his size. But then he showed and proved that he can overcome that. So there's a lot of guys still out there like that.
You hope Nebraska finds one.
Hope they do.
That'll put a bow on the Nebraska basketball transfer discussion for now until we get some more news out of that, positive or negative. We're going to talk some Husker baseball and football with Evan Bland here in the next segment before we get to the shootout with Strick. And then in hour number 2, what we got for you, we will be talking some NFL headlines. You and I haven't talked about the Aaron Rodgers trade. We'll go over that. The 5 players that got busted for gambling in the NFL last week, we'll talk about that as well. And then some Nebraska football players in the portal. How does Nebraska respond moving forward? All that and more as we continue on the block. Evan Bland at the Omaha World Herald comes up next.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415, or online at ambitionelectric.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new Silverado trim levels have up to 4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to 4 all new light-duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not worry. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
The best about Southeast Community College is to visit, and before you visit in person with a virtual camp tour, an opportunity to see our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, and Milford as you learn about our programs and areas of study. There are virtual tours of our learning centers too. We can even take you on a personalized virtual tour. Learn more on south.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You were so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, Beatrice. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Guys, when I first started with Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping, I weighed in at over 300 pounds. Now, less than a year later, I'm under 200 pounds since high school. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, and it all began with the Barrel's 10-week challenge. 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and guided nutrition coaching to help you reach your fitness goals. Their next 10-week challenge begins April 8th. If you're wanting to change your life like I have, head to theticketfm.com and click on Enroll Now on the homepage. Plus, get a promo code for a discount just for ticket listeners. Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings. Buffalo Wings and Rings and Lincoln at a price that makes. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back at it here, hour one of On the Block on 93.7 The Ticket. Glad you're along for the ride with us here. We're on with you on the stream from 2 to 4. Royals currently playing on the FM dial. But we have more important things to do right now on the stream. We're joined on the Honda of Lincoln hotline by Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, 8 games in 10 days for Nebraska baseball. Didn't get off to a good start this weekend at Iowa. The offense was rough. The pitching was rough. They do bounce back with a win over Omaha last night. As you look at this last 4-game stretch for Nebraska, what stands out?
Well, the Iowa series, it's tough to, I think, maybe put too much of a trend onto it. I think the Hawkeyes are a good team. To me, they were the preseason, or maybe not preseason, but early season Big Ten favorites. And I think they've really proven that they still have that ability with a deep staff that held Nebraska down. I think they outscored them 25-7 in that series. Probably the most disappointing part of the weekend was the starting pitching, though. When you have your 3 weekend guys combined to give you fewer than 7 innings, that's generally a recipe for disaster. And so that put a lot of pressure on the bullpen, which did okay, but Iowa was chasing runs all weekend against, again, a really talented and deep staff that Iowa had on that side. And they have a good coach in Rick Heller, who's had Nebraska's number for a number of years in the Big Ten. So, it's sort of the ebbs and flows of a baseball season where you feel great about sweeping Northwestern the weekend before, and then you get the broom handed to you in Iowa City. But, I think in the big picture, Austin, what it does is it clarifies that this team for Nebraska can pretty much move on from the at-large NCAA conversation, barring, maybe winning out the rest of the way. This is a team that's going to have to win the Big Ten tournament to qualify for an NCAA postseason. So I think this next month sort of becomes building momentum, building confidence, solidifying any other roles that might be out there. But I think we've reached the point in the season where we see there's some star power that this team has. There are some moments when they can beat just about anybody, but the challenge for them has been week in, week out, game in, game out, finding that consistency, especially with the arms.
It's funny that that's the issue for Nebraska, that night to night, because when I think of the personality of the head coach, Will Bolt, it's, gritty, not pretty. It's, he might not have the most star power, but you show up night in, night out. Do you think that weekend series in Iowa City maybe open some eyes on the team and we'll start to see more of the character of the head coach come out throughout the rest of the season?
It's possible. You think about Nebraska's best team in recent memory, the 2021 club, they got swept at home by Rutgers. And that was a weekend where, there's a lot of frustration, and that team was able to turn things around, use that as sort of a wake-up call down the stretch, and they played really good baseball that rest of the way in that season. So, it's possible that this team can kind of take that experience in Iowa City and use it to sort of galvanize each other. And, for what it's worth, I thought the game at Omaha last night had elements of that, where you have a guy like Drew Christo who comes in and who's one of the more popular guys on the team, who's struggled early in his career. And he goes out there and strikes out 8 over 4 and clearly had guys that were happy for him afterward. I thought, something that the team has worked on that Will Bolt has mentioned before has been the intent of the dugout, is what he calls it, where guys who are not in the game are actively engaged and supporting the guys that are out there. And that sort of can add to some momentum. I think you could feel that at Tal Anderson Field last night too. So yeah, I mean, it's possible. You got South Dakota State tonight. That's not a great team by any stretch. And then Minnesota, which is 11th in the Big Ten, coming in this weekend. So you should be able to string some wins together. Again, you're probably not at this point looking at RPI or an NCAA tournament resume, but it's more about, can you just get rolling headed into Omaha? Can you be, in contention maybe for the Big Ten regular season tournament? Can you be safely in the Big Ten tournament to where you're not talking about, are you going to make it, but you're talking about seedings and potential positionings and things like that. So I think that's sort of what the value is here down the stretch. And whether they use some of those losses as motivation remains to be seen. But I think their track record under Will Bolt says they generally bounce back well after they hit adversity.
Speaking of a guy that needs a bounce back, Jace Kaminska took that little midseason breather, came back against Iowa. Unfortunately, more of the same. Is it the arm fatigue? Is it the league's figured him out? What's going on with Jace Kaminska? What's left for him the rest of the year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's a couple rough outings in a row for him, and you kind of felt like the way that he was able to take the Northwestern weekend off could be a real boost for him and for Nebraska down the stretch, given that they were able to win that game, and it just looked like physically he needed a little rest. And, talking with Will Bolt last week, he felt like the bullpens were sharp, and the numbers said that, maybe he was refreshed the way that they intended him to be. And the command just wasn't always there on Saturday, with fastball command and just not locating the way that he's used to doing it. So it's an interesting sort of point or fork in the road for a guy like Kaminska, who was really strong to start the year. And now it's just been a couple of clunkers in a row. And so Minnesota this weekend offensively is no world beater. That should be a team that you should be able to do okay against. Certainly maybe post a quality start, go 6, something like that. So we'll see down the stretch. But what I think will be interesting too, Austin, in the larger picture is if this rotation has another weekend of struggles, I think you'll see a coaching staff that is open-minded about how it can maybe fix that. And so whether that's, considering Shea Shanneman, who's been the closer, moving him back into a rotation spot where he was a year ago. Maybe that means you give a guy like Drew Christo, who suddenly had a little bit of a run, more of a chance. So I think this will be, you'll probably see the familiar faces this weekend, but if the rotation continues to struggle, I do think the staff is, again, open to finding ways to fix that down the stretch.
Well, I want to talk about Drew Christo really quick before we get your spring football wrap-up thoughts here, Evan. It's good to see Drew Christo have, those 8 consecutive innings, the 8 strikeouts over them, over the 4 innings last night. That's awesome. I remember when he got to campus, I think there was a bit of a rush to anoint him. The big stuff, the power arm, in-state guy. It's awesome that he's having, this success now. But at least from this vantage point, Evan, I'd rather he stick in the bullpen, prove he can do it, that consistently the rest of the year before he moves into the starting role. Because if you're going to move a guy up at the first taste of success, that to me is, good if the team needs it. But if something goes wrong, then to me it would feel like we're right back at square one. How do you think the coaching staff views these last few innings from Christo?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know that you want to rush the guy into a starting role, and I don't know that that's even necessarily imminent. But maybe, again, in a few weeks, if they feel like they need a little bit more consistency, and he has another good midweek outing, say maybe at Creighton in early May, maybe that's something that you sort of revisit something like that. But with him, and I was able to chat with him last night at length about his outing. What he has said was his struggles to this point has been being too fine with the mechanics and sort of worrying about that and not focusing as much on just being competitive with hitters and going out, showing them your stuff, letting them try to hit it, trusting your defense, all that sort of thing. And you look at his trajectory in college so far. I mean, he gives up, I think it was 8 earned in his first, not from his freshman year into this season, has had some control issues, short hooks. And now the last, I think, 4 or 5 outings have been scoreless for him. And he goes 4, which is a career high for him last night. So, yeah, I think you're seeing the progression of a guy who is building that confidence, who is starting to see that he can get hitters out at the college level. And I think you're right, too. I mean, when you think about his ranking coming out of high school at Elkhorn, he was a top 100 national prospect. There was just sort of a general expectation that he would slot right into being a weekend guy as a freshman and sort of rolling from there. And it just didn't happen. Not to say that it can't or it won't in the future. It's just been a little bit more of a learning curve for him. So I think ideally for Nebraska this season, his role the rest of this, next month and beyond would be kind of what he's doing. Long relief, maybe a high leverage spot here or there. And as he's piled up these outings, I think he's definitely embedding himself further into that circle of trust.
Last thing on baseball real quick, Evan, are you hearing anything about what's going to happen with the postponed Creighton game?
Yeah, that's looking more and more like they're going to make that up on May 9th before the scheduled game later that evening at Charles Schwab. So I think they're going to pick that thing up bottom of the 7th. Nebraska's got the bases loaded with no outs and a tie game. And they'll finish that thing earlier in the day. I believe the originally scheduled game is for 7:00. So they'll finish up the suspended game first, and then they should begin with the normal one against Creighton that night.
There you go. We're talking Husker baseball now. Husker football as spring football is done with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, I saw a tweet you put out a couple hours ago with Braxton Clark being in the transfer portal now. Every member of that 2018 recruiting class from Scott Frost is now no longer with the program. And, if you look at it, 2018, that class would have been 5 years ago. So that's a normal cycle, I suppose, with the red shirt and then the 4 years. But these are different times with the red shirt year, the COVID year, injuries. You would think there would be a guy or two left, but between Clark's departure, the 2 young receivers, and, a new head coach coming in, with Matt Rule here. Is this the closest thing Nebraska's had to a hard program reset in a while?
Yeah, I mean, the switch from Mike Riley to Scott Frost saw a lot of attrition too, but the rules were different back then, right? You couldn't transfer without sitting out, and coaches didn't have the ability to essentially cut players while keeping them on academic scholarship. So, yeah, I mean, what we're seeing at Colorado certainly is the extreme example of what you can do in this climate as well. The Braxton Clark thing, to me, I mean, he would have been a sixth-year senior. You factor in the COVID year. So really you're talking about guys who would have redshirted and used the COVID year to come back. I just thought it was, notable, like not indicting of anything necessarily. I just thought it was notable that, it's sort of the end of that particular class in that era. And you look at the classes beyond that, 2019, 2020, there's still a lot of attrition in those too. And those would be classes where players would be juniors or seniors by now and regular contributors. And, I think 5 years ago, if you had those kind of numbers, it would be the mark of serious problems within your program. And now it's just sort of, that's how it is in college football. I mean, you had 5 more transfers outgoing today. A guy like Stephon Wynn, who leaves on the D line, I think that was a surprise to people. Someone who looked like he had an inside track to being a prominent contributor. He spoke to reporters a couple weeks ago and seemed like he was going to be in this thing for the season and for the long haul, and it didn't work out. So I think a lot of it's just kind of how it's gone these days. But whenever you have these kind of players depart, especially who've been around so long, I think it just is sort of a good moment to pause and reflect and just kind of see, man, how much has really changed in that span of time.
You mentioned the Wynn transfer. 2 guys that stood out along the defensive line, kind of outside linebacker edge group. Cam Lenhart, Prince Will Uman-Mielen in the spring game. I'm of 2 minds with those 2 guys, Evan, when it comes to Nebraska football this year. It's great that they're flashing as freshmen, but if they're going to be some of your most impactful players, I'm worried about how they hold up in November. How do you think the defensive line in that edge kind of spot came along this spring?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that to me still seems like a spot where you're going to need some more bodies if you want to hold up over the course of a season through the rigors of the Big Ten. I mean, we didn't see Ty Robinson, and he's the obvious clear-cut returning veteran. But beyond that, you really don't have anybody left who's proven it at Nebraska. So, I mean, yeah, to see Uman-Mielen and Lenhart with the first team defense last Saturday, I thought was notable. There are guys still around like Ruquan Buckley, who we haven't really seen. Nash Hutmacher, I think, will be somebody who's going to be relied upon more heavily moving forward. But yeah, I mean, when you talk about those young guys, it's a cool spring game story. It's I think a good glimpse into what Nebraska's future can be along the front line, especially in a year or two when they've had a chance to bulk up. But to me, yeah, I mean, if you're rolling with true freshmen on the defensive line right away, I think that says more about what your program is and where your defense is than it does how good maybe those individual players are. And you think about the season ahead, I mean, maybe they can hold up against Minnesota and Colorado early on, and everyone's healthy and you're going at it. But history shows you time and again, man, when you get into that Big Ten season and you get into late October and November and you're playing Wisconsin and Michigan on consecutive weeks, like you're going to wear down if you're not where you need to be in terms of strength and size. So again, I think the future is bright there, but I don't know that you want to rely too much on that if you're Nebraska moving forward, which is why I think, again, some of those guys that are coming back from injury will be key to watch, as well as, maybe they'll kick the tires on somebody in the portal here in the next couple months as well.
Flipping to the offensive side of the ball, it's the headline, it's the quarterback position. I need to ask you about it. Jeff Sims looked fine, not overwhelmingly impressive, but looked in control, in command. You lose 2 guys out of that room yesterday, in Richard Torres and Logan Smothers. Do you think the quarterback room is settled with Sims, Thompson, Harburg, and Purdy, or do you think there could still be another transfer portal entry from that group?
Well, yeah, I mean, if your over-unders at like 3.5 quarterbacks by fall, I think I'd take the over on that. I mean, Chubba Purdy's already transferred once, and so for him to do it again, I think would be a little bit complicating. Casey Thompson, sort of the same deal, even though he's a graduate transfer. I don't see him cutting bait at this point and moving on, especially with 1 year left. Jeff Sims clearly was the best quarterback on the field, in my opinion, on Saturday, and he'll be right in the mix to start heading into the fall. And so, you know, I just don't see a situation where those guys leave. Heinrich Harburg probably, you know, had some throws that he'd like to have back. I think he held on to the one where he threw it to Xavier Betts in the corner of the end zone, where probably an earlier release would have been a touchdown on that particular drive. There really hasn't been any other rumblings from the coaching staff or anybody else about him changing positions moving forward. I think they like his toughness, his running ability, what he brings to that quarterback spot. So I guess my gut would say that the 4 is probably where they'll stay, and they'll operate with that depth moving forward. But man, you know, again, it's the portal. This window's open until Sunday. They're having those frank discussions with players and coaches all week. Those are ongoing. So we'll see how it turns out. But certainly the attrition that we all expected to happen has happened. You go from 6 to 4. And I think that the 2 that left in Torres and Smothers probably are right where you would have expected maybe that attrition to occur too. So, yeah, I think that's probably where it'll be. And now Nebraska will have its next decision will be, what do you do with quarterback recruiting? Do you continue to look for a 2024 kid with the assumption that Dylan Raiola is not coming, or do you look to the portal? Do you go 2025? So there are other questions that they have moving forward, but I think these are the guys they'll have heading into fall camp.
It's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Next week for Football 11, I'll ask you about running backs and tight ends. Plenty of questions on that room. But before we get there, looks like it should be a fantastic weekend of weather for baseball. So enjoy the games, the weather if you can. We'll look forward to reading your coverage on the Omaha World Herald.
Thanks, Austin.
Once again, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald talking Husker baseball and football with us here, as he does every Wednesday. Before we get to the shootout, I do want to let you know that this week, the United Way is celebrating 100 years of being there for Lincoln and Lancaster County. You can join us in being there for our community by making a donation today to help put books in the hands of children. The goal for the day is to raise $2,500. That equates to 100 books. You can find out more, and you can make that donation at unitedwaylincoln.org. Good stuff from Evan on the Husker front. We're going to play the shootout with Strick. Let me see our topic. I have it written down. Here we go. Yes, it is 8 seeds and 1 seeds in the NBA playoffs. How well does Strick know them? How well do you know them? $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings on the line for you. You beat him, you get the $15. If not, he holds it over your head forever. 402-464-5685. Call now. Playing the shootout with Strick next.
Agriculture is the economic of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we delve in making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere parts and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball Millions or Lucky for Life, they tend to daydream about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery Lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
Drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary by game. Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour. Goes to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits. Medical and prescription costs at very low vision and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you where you need to be. Car problems that you put up with, let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, all the answers.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
This Easter, focus on your family instead of Venue Easter to-go meals. Prepared fresh in-house by our chefs, these meals are ready to heat and eat, with packages for 2 to 3 people or 6 to 8, and your choice of juicy beef tenderloin, tasty herb-roasted chicken, or our famous 6-pepper crusted prime rib. Packages come with sides, and we have additional add-ons available to complete your feast. Order today at venuedelivered.com/Easter. That's venuedelivered.com.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
That's right, 402-464-5685. Need you to call now. Take on Eric Strickland in trivia. We're doing NBA playoffs. We're doing 8 seeds and 1 seeds in history. Who are some of the notable ones? Because, Strick, the Heat have a chance to wrap up that series against the Bucks tonight. I feel confident saying Butler doesn't go for another 56 points. I don't say I feel all that confident in Milwaukee getting it done necessarily.
I don't know what's going on. I really thought Milwaukee had the pieces that can take them deep into this playoffs with the run. I mean, one of the best players. I mean, I understand he got injured a little bit, but look.
But he was back in game 4.
Miami just doesn't have it. They don't have the depth. Jimmy Butler is literally on his own carrying this team. Now, I know he has the capability. I think Jimmy can take you 2 rounds. I think it'll wear him out trying to go, conference finals and into a championship. Similar to what, because he was doing, this is what Jimmy Butler was doing in the bubble.
Exactly.
So this ain't like,
it's not new for him.
Yeah. I just don't know if he can sustain it. This is a lot of expended energy that he's expended for this one.
402-464-5685. Call now to play the shootout with Strick. More comments rolling in from the YouTube stream, Strick. Dion, we appreciate you chiming in. And David as well makes the statement that Fred is a lame duck coach. Your thoughts?
Oh, that's a tough speculation for me. I would love a little bit more elaboration on what he means by lame duck.
He says recruits are told that he's a lame duck coach by other coaches. If he doesn't make the NCAA tournament next year, he's gone. Trev Alberts won't like being in the NIT. David also says Trev has said the offseason is important to Hoiberg, and he has to see that he's missing on his top choices in recruits. Make or break season?
Truly. I think last year was a securing season. I think you had to make moves to really get better, significantly better. Like you needed to, I think last year was a great show to see what you had, style that works, establish your identity, and then be able to go and recruit to that. It solidified a lot of those things in my eyes for what they needed to focus on, work on, and go and make happen. I just don't know if they've hit that mark. Guys that you thought were going to be that guy for you, you put your eggs in the basket of, a lead guard. Maybe you didn't feel like Q McPherson was that. Maybe you felt he was a good backup and you had a conversation with him because you were going all in on, a lead guy, a guy that you knew was going to be able to lead you there. You missed all of them. I mean,
is
even
this a
Kirk
swing and a miss?
Kriisa.
Is it an air ball? Is
Kriisa
it wide
too.
left? All of them?
I mean, I think it's a shanker. I just think it's a shanker right now. It's, I'm not going to say, you missed a green or you shot an air ball, because that's still yet to be seen. I think they're good. They're good coaches. I think it's a good staff. I think they're good at game planning. I think they're good at getting them prepared. I think the guys look to play together. So that's why, it's going to be an important, piece for them to be able to make sure that whoever they bring in is gelling, is able to fit with the character that they're building in this team.
One last call for the shootout with Strick, 402-464-5685. He gets 4 questions. You get 4 questions. $15 Buffalo Wings and Rings is the prize if you win. While we wait, Strick, one other NBA topic I wanted to throw your way. Kawhi Leonard comes out that he has a torn right meniscus. And to me, that gives him a little bit more of a pass, for sitting out games 3 and 4. He hurts at game 1, plays game 2, plays pretty well. The question, though, is this, Strick. Not should he have played, shouldn't he have played, whatever. Is it time for Kawhi to retire?
It seems to me, just an observation, it looks like got a championship up in Toronto, got paid. You go to your next location,
back home.
You're back home, and that's part of that thing I talked about. Just that weight, that pressure.
Right.
Let's be real about it
Well,
too.
George is back home too, right? Same thing.
Yeah. Let's be real about this part of it though. You're making a lot of money, but that money don't go long in the California system right now. the way they're taxing you to oblivion, guys, top tier, big money, super cash guys are like, yo, I'm out of here.
Not seeing it.
I'm out of here, right? I don't know. Could it be that? Your money don't go as long. It's not as fun as it was when you grew up as a kid. Is there extra weight and pressure? Body he doesn't seem to have just the will. Like it seems like he gets inspired for spurts. And then it's like, oh, I don't really want to be doing this. Now, I can say personally that I knew when I was done, when I didn't want to be in the gym anymore, when I wasn't a gym rat, when I didn't feel like I had the energy to be the first in the gym like I was and be one of the last to leave, when I didn't want to just hit the weight room religiously like I used to, when training was just like drudgery. Like you going into the off season, you're like, oh shoot, I gotta get in the training mode, So I can understand what some of these athletes are going through, and some of them in that part of it. But it just doesn't look like it. Looks like Kawhi is disinterested. Now there has been word that's come out that he has a torn meniscus. I had a partially torn meniscus, and so I know the pain of that. It's definitely hard to play back-to-backs. Now I'm going to be honest, because it was like I would have the energy to go, it would swell up with a lot of water, so you would either have to drain it or you would have to just kind of chill, rest, ice, and do some stuff. I couldn't do certain types of movements, drills, cuts. It was like a sharp pain. His is torn. Mine was partial, and it still was hurt. Now, mine ended up healing. I didn't have to get surgery or anything like that, because the doctor will tell you, you have to either go get that surgically replaced, or you have to, literally stay off of it, or you're going to have to play with the pain. Like there's 3 options. You can play with the pain, but you're not going to be effective with a torn meniscus. It's not a fun trying to cut and do stops and play D and bump and grind. And yeah, it's not fun. It's not a fun injury.
It's unfortunate because Kawhi Leonard, when he's on the court and healthy, is still a top 10 player in the league. He is mid-range killer, expanded from 3, can still turn it on defensively when he wants to. I don't know enough about him to know, where his will is at, but I'm worried, Strick, that we're trending toward, another, Barry Sanders, Andrew Luck, Calvin Johnson, type of retirement. And, let's say he's lost the will for discussion's sake. Let's say that he's just doing it because he feels like he has to be out there. He likes the money, whatever it is. It's fine if you lose the will. That time comes for every player.
Yeah.
But to me, the bigger sin would be pretending you still have it, because then you're lying to yourself. You're lying to your teammates. You're lying to the fans, which, by the way, they're building a new arena.
Right.
So at least be honest. People will resent you for your decision to retire young when it seems like there's still so many, miles that could be left on his legs, given all the time he's missed.
Yeah.
But if he ain't got it, just say you don't got it and walk away. It's going to be better long-term, right?
Yeah. I think so for everybody, for all parties involved. I will say that other than the last game, I was impressed with Russell Westbrook. Just the stick-to-itiveness to stay mentally engaged, still in LA, still on the same court.
Right.
Everything was the same, but when those guys bowed out, at least he showed up and gave them a chance. Now, obviously, the last game was horrible. 3 for 8. Oh, that's that. Was that number? What was it? 3. What was the number?
19.
19.
The first time. Yeah.
He was almost there. He was 1 off. 3 for 19, 1 for 6 from 3. Just not a great game, as far as shooting wise. The assist to turnover numbers are still as we know it to be. But I still will say I'm impressed that he was able to stay and stick it out. Now, will he land a max deal? No, I don't think so. But I think somebody may take this into account of a playoff and, may give him a go and say, hey, it'd be a good, but he'll have to have a conversation about the role. As long as he's willing to stick into the role, I just don't know. They got to blow this up. Austin, what you think? I think they got to blow this up. I don't think you can continue down this road. Eric Gordon's old. Westbrook's old.
PG's
Morris is money and older. Batum,
old.
He actually had a pretty good game.
French.
Plumlee. A lot of their bench players played well. But their young bodies is Powell and Mann. I don't
Those
think
aren't
they're
superstars.
Exactly. They're not build around guys, but right now you got to figure out a way to get some assets, and I don't know where it's going to come from.
Someone would trade for Kawhi and Paul George because we see people trade for superstars. I just don't know who, and I don't know what the return is for guys that have been injured like that. Most of all, though, Strick, I hope this doesn't, reflect on Tyronn Lue. That's a guy that's doing his best to piece it together. Folded Russell Westbrook in, got something out of him. I hope Steve Ballmer and the GM don't put this on him.
Yeah. I do feel sorry for T. Lue because I think he did the best he could what hand he was dealt with him. It was like you're dealt garbage poker hands with nothing on the flops. You know what I mean? Like you're dealt 2, 7, 9, Jack, and another 4, and they're all off suited. Maybe a couple, and then you flop some garbage. Nothing that just gives you a chance. I mean, that's what it seems like. He's got dealt a crazy poker hand, and you're like, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to fold this. But he didn't fold.
No,
he played it out. Took the bet, played it out. maybe even bluffed a little bit with some of the people he was throwing out there, right? But yeah, I feel bad for T. Lou. I really do, man. I like, gosh, dang it, man. They actually was in this thing. They could have actually did something. You know, the strategy they put forth and how they made Durant struggle early on. But it was like for Phoenix, they shifted. You know, Monty Williams and that crew, they shifted. And they said, you know, this series, Booker, you're A1. You're that guy. And he just started going nuts. And they had no answer for Book.
They absolutely didn't. Good NBA stuff here in this hour. Good college basketball stuff as well. He's Eric Strickland, a 9-year NBA vet, Husker Hall of Famer, all around good dude. Appreciate you, Strick.
Man,
everything
thank
you do,
you, bro. I appreciate all of you as well. It's good to be back in the building. I'm looking forward to the new one too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's time flying by. I mean, by the time you look up and know it, I mean, it'll be fall. We'll be listening to Husker fight songs and
hear it right down the block.
Sitting outside and chopping it up with some firewood and some good hot chocolate.
Preach.
Yeah, have a good time, man.
He's Eric Strickland. I'm Austin Norman. We lost track of time. We got to get to break it to hour 2 here of On the Block. We'll talk NFL headlines, some Husker football transfer headlines. Then we'll cross it over. Kenny's on the road. Jay will be in. I think DP will as well. Hour 2 On the Block next.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and staff do the best we can. The perfect time to your yard. We're on the brink of speed-ups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mows. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting on our dinners and get ready for Tailored Life's in Bennett.
Feeling after a good, hearty meal, worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but a good time with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish, and don't sleep on their sides. Shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're big at Liberty First.
At Liberty First Credit Union with purpose. Member NCUA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promise to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism. Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choice Center at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket every night. Hear the latest on the Stars with myself and special player guests.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure.
Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island, StarterHeyman.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Goodyear General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone at the dealership are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's effort. It's the entire dealership. sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. How does that compare to other Honda dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after the sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planning season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! You're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Yes, it is. Welcome to it here, hour 2 of the show. Forgot to remind you that caller number 3 gets the $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. So call now for those $15 to one of our favorite Lincoln establishments. One of our others, Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Charles and his crew do a great job down there at 27th and Pine Lake here in Lincoln, fixing up the best soul food you can get in Lincoln. Not known for soul. Charles is trying to change that.
Yeah. They brought the soul down in Lincoln. It's a great time. Summer is approaching. Go out there and take care of your gut and your belly.
Yes, sir.
Like you ever saw the movie Sutter Heyman text? Dang, they're not listening.
YouTube chat's been popping
his
off.
name it was yeah baby. What's the guy? Austin Powers. And the guy was Fat Bastard. Fat Bastard said, "Get in my belly." That's what I say. Go down to Mary Ellen's and tell him, "Get in my belly." The good ribs, the catfish, the greens, the mac. Get in my belly. Yeah, go down there.
And stay in my belly. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So Monday, you were hitting the links. You get off the course, find out Aaron Rodgers officially been traded. Feels like we've been doing the soap opera for months on end now. Finally goes through. The Packers trade him to the Jets. What was your first reaction to that trade, Strick?
It was finally done. I'm sure the staff of the Jets can breathe a sigh of relief. Obviously, they went through the ringer as far as trying to figure out who the heck is going to be their guy. They just weren't sold. They just weren't sold on Zach Wilson. Getting a former MVP. They're on the verge. They have I think a top 6 defense, 8 defense right now. So they're like teetering on the verge of a breakthrough. I've got some great pieces. Hardman is there. Lazard, he's very comfortable with Lazard.
Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall coming back.
Yeah. So they've got some nice pieces, and then just to kind of get it done. Now, when you look at grade, I would say they both benefit. You got to know that there's going to be 2 first-round draft picks. 2024 is going to be gone. Unless Aaron Rodgers is injured significantly. 65% is not a lot of snaps for 2023 for him to play. It's an important role. They've got dreams and aspirations of going back to the playoffs. Haven't been there in a long time. So you got to figure that pick's going to be gone. You only swap 2 spots. So I think each team can feel that they didn't get, railroaded in this deal.
My gut reaction was that the Jets won the trade because, number one, they got their guy.
Yeah.
That's huge. They keep this year's first-round pick.
Yeah.
Again, only move
Yeah,
back 2
2
spots and get another pick on top of it. I think it would be, a 5th rounder?
They get a 5th rounder, and then I think they gave up a 6th.
Yes.
They gave up a 6th and got a 5th.
That's more than I thought they would have gotten. I thought the Jets were just going to get Aaron Rodgers, and they'd be the ones giving everything up.
Yeah.
The Packers got a decent return again. You flip-flop those picks. You get probably a 1st next year, a 2nd this year, and then that 6th. That's not what, Seattle got for Russell Wilson, though. And Aaron Rodgers is better than Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
So, to me, this is Green Bay just wanted to get this done finally. That it wasn't the best they could have done, but they were just ready to have, Aaron Rodgers off their hands, away from their table. And I totally understand that at this point, given the soap opera, given the drama. Let's start with the Packers aspect of this, because I think the Jets aspect has more ways to go with it. How confident are you that Jordan Love can be the guy in Green Bay?
I'm not. I'm not fully sold there. But they're banking on it. But here's why it's a boomer bust bank, right? You saw what a lot of young quarterbacks, you got to look at Purdy, a lot of young quarterbacks like him, the up and coming Burrow, those guys. Now he's going to, he's had a chance to watch from one of the best to do it, right? Whether he's transferred a lot of that knowledge over is yet to be seen. I don't know if that's been the case, but because I think he was kind of upset about it. So, I mean, me being a dude that's upset that you brought somebody in here to replace me, it'd be kind of, I could be a, dorkish, change the word a little bit so I don't have to dump it.
The Ryan Tannehill.
You know what I mean?
Thing?
Yeah, you can be dorkish about it and not do that just because you're like, I mean, you figure it out, young fella. They brought you in here to replace me. Then do what you're supposed to do. Replace me. You know what I mean? So, but here's the one way that the Packers won. They don't have to shell out $58.3 million.
That's a lot of dollars.
They don't have to give up the cakeola, the cashola, the moolah. They don't have to give it up. So they transfer that over to them. So now you're boomer bust. You're gonna, I think you'll probably, NFL is kind of tricky because it depends on the time that you do the trades, whether or not a partial of that goes on your books and so forth. It's always tricky stuff, and it's time related. I'd have to go deeper into that, whether or not there's a portion of that salary that will get attributed to their books, and a good majority of it will go over. But I think the whole thing, because of the timing of the trade, and this is probably why they waited. That's what I'm saying. Some of these games don't really be games, Austin, that they're playing. Some of it has to do with money. Some of it has to do with bonuses. Sometimes they'll release a guy before, there's a lot of this stuff is business related. And so it could be that the timing of this was just so that they didn't have to take the whole cap, or they were able to release the whole cap. And now they've got good cap room and to go out there in free agency and get some guys to help.
And it makes sense that it got done before the draft as well, because you still have time to identify who you want with your picks. After the draft, you're trading for players and future first, but you've put this much work in, may as well, get some of those draft picks now, especially for a team like the Jets, where to me, they're a playoff team, but they still might finish 3rd in their division. Trust Buffalo a little bit more. I know they have their postseason failings, but in the regular season, I trust Buffalo a little bit more.
Yeah.
Miami was fascinating last year before everything that happened with Tua, and even New England has an actual offensive coordinator now, still has Bill Belichick. I still think the Jets can make the playoffs, but where do you see them stacking up in that AFC East?
I see it fall in the middle.
2nd or 3rd?
I see. You mean the whole conference or just in their division?
In their division, yeah.
3rd. I think with their defense, I mean, they only gave up 18 points, 18.3 points a game. So I mean, with the defense, if they can maintain that, obviously free agency hurts in every way of trying to keep, guys together. But you hopefully you draft well, hopefully you have, guys that were lying in wait in your in NFL they call it something different.
Practice squad.
Practice squad.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got those some pieces that you were kind of just laying in wait to allow an opportunity and step in and be a contributor. But we'll see. I mean, it looks like it's a win-win for both parts for me right now.
Does Aaron Rodgers have as much or more to give than Tom Brady did when he went to Tampa Bay?
I mean, he says he's taking care of his body. Yeah, I mean, he says he had a dream and he had a vision to play in his 40s. I mean, that was quoted from his own words. He believes he has the ability to do so. It's either going to be Brady-esque or it could be Peyton-esque. Where those spirals, those deep balls used to be real nice and tight, or they turn out to duckies, rubber duckies, We'll see. We'll see.
The other news that you brought to my attention out of the Bay Area is I think this is the next quarterback domino to fall in terms of guys that are already in the league. I don't know if this gets done before the draft.
Rumor mill.
Yes. Rumor mill was spinning. What'd you find?
Well, there's some conversations out there that it is very possible that the 49ers may have some interest in, a coast-to-coast transaction with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. They're still uncertain about, their situations over there with their quarterbacks. There's been some talks, some speculation, whether that gets done, whether it's a means by which it can get done is still yet to be seen. It's intriguing. How do you find it though? Do you find that's an intriguing thing? I mean, they're a versatile team like that, that someone like Lamar, West Coast stylish, RPO stylish, Debo stylish, McCaffrey runish, those two running read options, sheesh. But then you're going to expose your quarterback again. So how do you see him fitting in a 49er system?
I think it'd be awesome because one of the big selling points of Lamar Jackson is his legs, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think they would be the feature or the focus of that offense. Now, he'd be surrounded by playmakers with, like you said, a versatile guy in McCaffrey who can run the ball, who can catch it really well in the backfield. And Debo Samuel, who can line up as a running back, but as a wide receiver. Ayuk is a solid weapon. You have George Kittle when he's healthy and a solid offensive line. They did lose their D coordinator in Ryan to the Texans head coaching job, but that's a defense with talent. So I think that West Coast style where you can get Lamar on the move, right? Throwing on the move to use those legs. And that way the threat of it, I think that would be awesome.
I think it's good.
I mean, he would be what they want Trey Lance to be.
Yeah.
He would be one of the best fits for that offense, I think.
Proven though.
Proven as heck. Former MVP.
Proven.
Well, think about who Shanahan's had at quarterback. He's had Jimmy G. He's had Trey Lance. He's had Brock Purdy, Nick Mullins for a few games. This would be the best quarterback Kyle Shanahan's had to work with in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he's taken them to a Super Bowl already.
Yeah. Here's my issue. My issue then becomes, what do you do with the one of the other two? Now, which one do you keep? That's the thing, because well, it's going to be. I'll tell you, but it's going to be this though. You're going to have to pay him. So if you bring him over, he's already salty, so he's going to want a deal, right?
For sure.
So you're probably going to have to pay him. You're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to run somebody out of town. You may have to give up on, the one that you drafted.
You gave up a lot to move up.
Gave a lot to get, right? Then you have a newcomer, but was that an anomaly? Was that a sure? Do you want to see a little bit more of that? You can't keep him. If you sign Lamar Jackson to a premium high, big contract deal, you're not going to be able to probably keep Purdy around long term. You might be able to keep him, but you're not going to be able to keep him probably long because somebody's going to want him. Somebody's going to say there's some quarterback needs out there right now that guys are still they're like I don't know. There's really not. Draft is kind of slight. Am I going to throw the keys to Will Levis? Am I going to throw the keys to Anthony Richardson Jr. and just be comfortable with that being? I know what he can do. Let's get him in here. Let's let them battle it out and see how it goes. There's going to be situations like that are going to present itself.
So are you saying they keep Lance or they keep Purdy behind Lamar if they get him?
I would probably keep Lance because you've already got him, right?
Okay.
And get assets for Purdy. Use Purdy to get assets. I think if Lamar Jackson is your guy,
for sure,
right?
Yes,
because you're still uncertain about injury, which other teams will probably be also. But if you can sell that. Similar to like if you go to a car dealership and it's got a Carfax on it, but the car looks sweet. But you just don't know whether or not the chassis is in order or in place, right? So it's the same thing with that. The buyer is going to try to, say, wait a minute, now this I don't know if I want to buy this because if I want to move it down the road or I want to sell it or if it doesn't perform the way I want it to perform, this car, I'm stuck with it. So I know you're trying to sell it to me at a premium, but I need a discount. So there's going to be teams that's going to want a discount. You're going to be trying, if you can sell that is a premium opportunity and you get through all of those other pieces of it, you got to get assets for Purdy. There's no question you use Purdy for that. I don't think Lance is the guy that can get you there.
So I see it two ways. The first way is that right now Purdy has more value. He proved what he could do, come in on short notice and make football plays, right? He wasn't just a game manager. He made some throws as Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft. I think you can get more for Purdy and you sell high on him if you're going for assets. But if you want a more steady, solid backup quarterback, you keep Purdy around because Trey Lance, you have to make a decision on him quicker. He's older than Brock Purdy in terms of his deal. So you have to make a decision sooner on Trey Lance. I think for the 49ers, what they want to do is ship Trey Lance out the door.
Fact.
I think that's what they want to do. I think Purdy would be better for them to keep. The flip side of that is if they're not sold on Purdy, if they think it was a flash in the pan or there's an offer they can't refuse, like there's no way in the world they'll ever get a deal like this for the last pick of the draft ever again. The benefit to keeping Trey Lance is that you've had eyes on him for a couple of years. You hope you keep him healthy. And say Lamar Jackson misses time, Trey Lance is more similar to Lamar Jackson.
Similar to the style, because you're going to have to switch your offense. And that's the thing, that Brock Purdy is very West Coast stylish to me with the ability to throw, to open it up a little bit deep. He's good at finding the right reads over the middle and deep, and he's got the assets to do that with Ayuk and, Kittle. But that's different contrasting styles. I would have to agree with you that if you do, if Lamar Jackson is going to be your guy, Trey Lance is probably a better fit stylistically because of the fact that you won't have to do so many adjustments and changes to the offense. I think Purdy could adjust, but I just think it would make him uncomfortable. He can pocket. He can pocket a little bit more. Yes, he can roll in a little bit more. He's got okay feet, but stylistically, I don't think I'd want to have those contrasting styles in the locker room.
Brock Purdy's going to stick around in the NFL for a long time as a backup. He just seems to have that kind of moxie to him. But I'm with you. Trey Lance, I think, is still the better fit for that offense. But again, like you were saying with Aaron Rodgers in the trade, it comes down to business.
Yeah.
It'd be bad business to hold on to Brock Purdy if you're going to get an overwhelming offer.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Yeah. If you can get that much surplus value out of a 7th round pick, it's bad business to keep him around, much as you might like him. That'll be a good NFL segment there. We do have to talk some Huskers in the next segment with the transfer portal. Wide receivers, defensive line, defensive back, some of the positions that come to mind with guys transferring out. We'll talk Huskers in the portal before we cross.
Real quick before we get out of there. Brian on the YouTube stream, thank you for that information. Because we had put out there the fact that how much of the salary of the $58 million goes out. But Brian, the Jets pushed 2/3 of Rodgers' salary off as a signing bonus. So I think that they are taking only 17 or 17 or 18 million towards the salary cap, which is going to allow them to even get more assets. That's a win.
That's a steal.
That's a freaking steal. Oh, good thing we didn't have to dump that. Thank you, Brian, for sharing that information. That's a win for the Jets all day long.
Oh,
if you can trade that off into into signing bonus, and now you have more salary cap room, shoot, it's a win.
Blockheads, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming in clutch.
Yeah.
They're good about that.
Yeah.
Husker football transfer portal talk on the other side here.
Yeah. Stephen went gone.
2 on the block.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that smooth. We start with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also advance technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
Drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize vary by game.
At Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln. Honest answers.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where your family, not you, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
This Easter, focus on your family instead of dishes with the Venue Easter to-go meals. Prepared fresh in-house by our chefs, these meals need to heat and eat with packages for 2 to 3 people or 6 to 8 and your choice of juicy beef tenderloin, tasty herb roasted chicken, or our famous 6-pepper crusted prime rib. All meal packages come with sides and we have additional add-ons available to complete your feast. Order to come Easter. That's venue.com/Easter.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade it. But don't go rush into your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticket.com.
Yeah. Welcome back to On the Block. He's Strick here. Austin Orman. You're on the block. We are streaming today because the Kansas City Royals are going nuts on 93.7 FM on the dial.
Barn burner 0-0 on the floor.
They're going nuts. That's a happy day for you. At least they're not getting blown out. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the transfer portal, and you know, one of the ones that did not surprise me. I watched last year Gashed in the 4-3, and I've still been trying to figure out. I think the 3-3 is not a good fit for him, for this particular individual that jumped into the transfer, and that is Stephen Wynn. Seemed to have the quickness to get into the gaps when you're looking off of the you know, because you a lot of times you got to be head up, maybe in half of the gaps, slanting into the gaps. He didn't seem to kind of get off to be able to leverage down, hold position to allow the running backs, not running backs, the linebackers to run a little bit and get, and blitzing or drops or whatever. So to me, that didn't surprise me, him jumping in the transfer portal, but there's more that went in there, and we're 9 away?
8 or 9. Yeah.
As Deion Pryor would have let us know, we're pretty close. We're closing in on it. So there's still some room left to go. Tell us about the transfer portal. Any surprises there? Anybody that they still may have interest in? But in what rooms do we expect to see some shrinkage come from?
So I'll start with the Win. That one's a bit of a surprise to me, just because he just transferred in last season. To be in and out the door again, at least he's a graduate transfer, so he should be, eligible to play right away. That might have something to do with it. It's unfortunate because if nothing else, he was a body. He wasn't bad last year. It wasn't a difference maker by any means, but he's an upperclassman, a big enough guy to at least hold his own. So given the questions about depth on the defensive line, that would have been a guy I would have liked to have seen stick around for Nebraska's sake, because now you're relying on Ty Robinson to take a step forward that he hasn't yet and stay healthy.
Right.
Nash Hutmacher hasn't been on the field a whole lot. Big body, don't know what he has to offer necessarily. Ruquan Buckley, haven't really seen on the field. And Elijah Judy, we don't know if he's playing inside or outside for sure. So there's not a lot there that you're sold on. And again, Stephon Wynn in the middle, at least he's a big body. At least he takes up space. Grown man, might not make a lot of plays, but he won't mess up a lot either. So that, I think, is an unfortunate, somewhat surprising departure, but you hope that whoever, is next man up is the one that's going to step up and actually, make some plays in the middle.
Yeah. It has to be something to it. It has to be something to it. He maybe wanted to, maybe the style didn't fit him. You know what I mean?
Could be.
It could be just the style, just maybe, didn't fit him. He wanted to maybe, like you said, being a grad transfer, wanted to get somewhere to where he felt was a little bit. But the thing is, you're starting over, my boy, fresh again. Mm-hmm. So you had a Frost regime, you had a change, because we know that our guy here at the ticket, Billy Bush, had a little change in philosophy in the way that they were going to do things defensively. And then you get Rule and his group comes in with a new defense, and now you got to try to go, and then you're going to go in the fall where most people have already, got likes. So I can see him downgrading, possibly going down a level, maybe a Colorado State or, Wyoming or
Troy,
something like that. I could see that happening. I just don't see him going big time Power 5.
Not for his third school.
No,
that'd be a lot. In terms of where else could movement come from, I still think you have a lot of bodies in that defensive back room. I think some of the guys that are the 3s and 4s are probably going to start hitting the portal here.
And even with the fact that they have a lot of, need for DBs, being that they're playing Rovers and
you need a lot of them, but
and they've got 5. You know what I mean?
You do, but the guys that I'm thinking of aren't, Miles Farmer, Isaac Gifford size. It's more the cornerback position, because it seems like, Newsome and probably Hartzog have spots locked down at corner. Farmer probably at safety. We'll see what, Omar Brown, Deshaun Singleton do. But there are a lot of guys that are buried on the depth chart that have been for a couple years now behind these upperclassmen that, again, you do need a lot of defensive backs, especially if there's going to be 5 on the field at all times. But to me, that rover spot, the way we've seen it, is more of a linebacker, safety hybrid, more so than a true DB.
Facts.
I think you're cutting more corners than anything else.
That's true.
Wide receiver is another interesting one. Nebraska's already lost 2 in Victor Jones and Sean Hardy, guys that didn't see the field necessarily. You don't know who's going to step up in that room necessarily, but outside of Billy Kemp and Marcus Washington, Strick, we haven't heard a lot of really any other receiver.
Not at all. What about this change, this adjustment that they're interested in? One, I'm interested to see who they kind of put in that fullback position, how they use it. Is it only a blocking? Is it kind of working out into passes and into flats and different things like that? Are you going to want a guy that can catch? I'm interested in that. And then I'm interested also in that hybrid tight end look and who could possibly have the size and the abilities to kind of do dual double duty there.
Absolutely. So Janarin Bonner is the one that they had at fullback, got the first carry of the game and all that. He's listed at 6'3", 200 right now. A little taller than I would have thought, for just a true fullback.
Yeah.
But if they can find a way to use him like, Yuksik from the 49ers, where he'll run the ball every so often. He's a willing blocker, can read the field well, get to that second level, but also catch out of the backfield. The knock on him was he wasn't the fastest guy. That plays incredibly differently when you're matched up against cornerbacks versus linebackers, so it should be maybe more even, if not maybe even have a little bit of an advantage, coming out of the backfield there. Maybe he's a guy that they do a lot of option routes. Hey, read the guy that's your matchup. If he's outside of you, break in. He's inside of you, break out. That's a versatile piece I think they can use a lot of ways. Tight end Strick is fascinating to me. We didn't get to it with Evan, so I'm glad you brought it up here. Nate Borkacher was the best tight end in the spring game. He was. Thomas Fidone didn't necessarily impress. He was on the field at least, and that's a step in the right direction. And Gilbert had 2 big drops on balls he should have caught. So I think the potential of that tight end room is off the charts, and you can do things with 3 tight ends on the field. But right now, there's only one guy in that room I feel half decent about, and that's Nate Borkacher.
Right. I still think there's potential targets that are out there right now that are still popping in the transfer portal, still active, is still very hot.
Maybe just have him travel east down I-80 from Colorado.
Right. I think there's probably about 3 that I've heard of. A former 4-star recruit out of Garland, Texas. He actually chose the Horned Frogs over SMU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Nebraska, LSU, Arkansas, Tennessee. That's a treasure trove, Texas, and continue on and on. Chase safety potential in Chase Biddle. DJ Allen is one that might want to kind of see what goes on out there. Don't think that's going to happen. But the one that I'm talking about is Jordan Hudson out of TCU. I think it's a long shot possibly, but that's one to maybe keep your eye on. Another former 4-star out of Ole Miss, Tywan Malone. That's another one I'd probably kind of keep an eye on, especially for that interior depth that you're going to need on the defense. And then Griffin Scroggs out of Georgia. It seems like Georgia is a landscape for us to be trying to dig into, but he's a former 3-star guy out of Georgia, but he's another guy that has a solid option into the trenches that we need. I think the trenches are so important for us right now. We still need to shrink down. We've got places to where that can happen, but I think if we're going to go after him, I think it needs to happen in the trenches.
I'm absolutely with you. The tough part about that is that there aren't necessarily high quality guys available at this point. That's what makes it tough. If there is an offensive or defensive lineman worth his salt in the portal, the best programs are calling and they're snatching him up, or they're moving closer to home. So if you look at a guy like Scroggs, 6'4", 315, that's a big body. Would he be more ready than Jacob Hood, for example, another Georgia transfer? I don't know. But at this point, Strick, I'm still not sold on the offensive line. I know Matt Rule has said, that's a lot better than it showed. They're getting blamed for some stuff that wasn't, necessarily their fault from last season. I haven't watched the film with the same eye that Matt Rule has. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. But what I do know is over the last couple of years, that offensive line hasn't been up to snuff. And there's a lot of the same names on that offensive line that are back again this season. So like we were saying in the very first segment, either you're banking on internal development with, the same position coach, but a new philosophy at offensive coordinator, or you got to go get some dudes. And right now, to make those guys learn another new scheme, same names, a lot of them coming off of injury or, rust, haven't played in a while, I'm not all that confident in the offensive line. So anything you can do to get another body that, might be worth it, probably worth a flyer. But then it comes down to who has to leave for that to happen. Because to add one, you got to lose an extra one at this point.
Yeah, lose 2 for 1.
Exactly.
Unnamed texter 9099 throws this out, and I'm gonna shoot it over to you. Speaking of wide receiver depth, is the question: do you think we see Coleman out of Lincoln East, the receiver, year one, on the field, or is he going to be a 4-game redshirt year one player?
Fantastic question. He's a guy that I hope can get on the field year one on the offensive side. Looks like a freak athlete, 6'4", 200 something, the way he runs as fast as he is. That's a guy that can be a difference maker. I don't know what he's like, in the classroom. I don't know how quick a learner he is. I do know he's sitting out a track season due to an injury, so I hope that doesn't flare up again this fall. But to me, if there is a spot for a guy to get on the field early, make it wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
If he's that good an athlete or he has that good a grasp on the playbook, you can throw him out there pretty much, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Offensive line, defensive line, not sold on it. Quarterback, not sold on it. But if he's that good of an athlete and he shows you that he has enough of a grasp of the playbook, you can do a lot with him. Sure, give him a run because, like we're saying, Billy Kemp and Marcus Washington are the 2 receivers that you feel good about at this point. You need another 3 or 4. I wouldn't be shocked to see Malachi Coleman in that mix, but don't rush him. Make sure he's ready.
Mm-hmm. Last thing before we go to break, tomorrow, come back and join us tomorrow on the block. We're going to have University of Omaha head basketball coach Chris Crutchfield is going to be joining us tomorrow at 2:30. As well as Andrew Alex is going to join us at 3:30. Going to have a tremendous lineup. We'll fill you in on some of the things. I mean, news is popping right now. At any given time, the transfer portal can get even heated up and hot, even more than it is right now. Things can happen overnight. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But, yeah, we'd love to hear from Crutch, what he's got going, what the vision, what the plan is up there at Omaha. Right in the heart, in the middle of competition between Husker Red and doggone Creighton Blue. So I love to hear what his vision is. It's good to sit down and talk to him. Congratulations. I want to give a quick shout out to Kenya Crandall, longtime Benson Bunny, University of Nebraska Kearney, Hall of Famer, was inducted last week into the Benson Hall of Fame.
Incredible. Well done.
25 years of coaching. Doing a wonderful job, getting tremendous athletes. I've watched him continue to strive and work all over these years. So shout out, great competitor. But yeah, we'll look forward to hearing from Crutch. But right now we got to take a break. We'll finish it off on the block as Old School is going to take over real soon. 93.7 The Ticket. We are streaming and also on Allo 951. But we'll be right back after these messages.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Remember last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric. Everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition 402-217-3415. Or online. Electric.
Hi, Sean Callahan. GMC at Koppel. We are pulling out all of the stops of this gigantic epic event, the lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra light duty and new silk trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel. So do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck. So stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
The best way to learn about Southeast Community College is to visit. And you can check out our spaces before you visit in person with a virtual campus tour. An opportunity to see our campuses in Beesford as you learn about our programs and areas of study. There are virtual tours of our learning centers too. We can even take you on a personalized virtual tour. Learn more on our website, southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
You finally reached your man cave in the basement. Huge of your collector's items. Ready for so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and counters and damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate.
43555 John Henry's Plumbing. Heating it in.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Guys, when I first started with Girls Extreme Body Shaping, I weighed in at over 300 pounds. Now, less than a year later, I'm under 200 pounds for the first time since high school. I'm stronger, I'm healthier. It all began with the Farrell's 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you reach his goals. Their next 10-week challenge begins on April 8th. If you're wanting to change your life like I have, head to theticketfm.com and click on Enroll Now on the homepage. Plus, get a promo code for a discount just for ticket listeners. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesday, 89-cent wings.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back with you one final time here on the block. Want to tell you about United Way celebrating 100 years of being there for Lincoln and Lancaster County. This week, you can join us in being there for our community by making a donation today. That donation will help put books in the hands of children. Our goal for the day, raise $2,500. That's 100 books, again, in the hands of Lincoln's kids. Find out more and donate if you feel so moved at UnitedWayLincoln.org. DP&J, two scholars in the building with us here. That's the old school crew for today. Gentlemen, how good afternoon?
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Well read. You well read. You well read and well written. Let me just say that.
I can write. I don't know about that other part. I'll leave that to other people.
What's that up there, man?
You see what happens, Jay? You leave for a little bit, and then they start just throwing stuff.
I don't know.
What team is that?
It's a salute to service something.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Troops.
I got you. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No.
Put it up. Somebody.
So, Jay Foreman, your boy
Tricky.
jumped.
What's popping?
Your boy jumps into the transfer portal. I really want to ask. I'm about to throw it out. I'm not your boy. Your boy. They hate when I do that because I always just say your boy.
Yeah, like 15 of them.
15
so
of them.
all right.
So, Mr. Wynn, He jumps in the transfer portal. Now, I'm just throwing this out as a football mind, as someone has an inquiring mind that just really wants to know. Multiple styles, played a certain way in a 4-3. 3-5 is a switch. Obviously had to make some adjustments with the changeover because they did some adjustments when, Billy Bush took over. So he had to make multiple adjustments. He's a graduate guy now. Is the 3-5 a little bit too big for him as far as his style is not really a good fit? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that'd be a good question for him. But you're really, if you just go back and backtrack, right? I mean, I'm sure he probably ran a 4-3 in high school. That's probably 90-something% what people run in high school. Then he goes to Alabama, and you run primarily a big boy 3-4. That's a 0 and 2-5 techniques. That's you big boys there. There's no fair dodging. Grown man, right? And then you run 4-man fronts on pretty much 60% of the downs, which is nickel, right? So then you play it 4. And then you come here and you do the same thing. I mean, yeah, Nebraska was primarily a 3-4, but majority of the time you're playing nickel or some form of it, right? And the same thing with 3-3-5. Still 3 down linemen, mainly just 2 of them. One guy that's kind of in between, and then you got a guy that's supposed to be the dude that's kind of the walk-up guy on the line of scrimmage. You're not going to just go and have 3 guys in a reduced front and think you're going to stop anybody, running the ball. So is it a little bit of difference? It's a lot of change for him. Alabama, first part of Nebraska, with Shenander, the second part of Nebraska with Coach Bush, and then with Coach White. Now, I will say this, Coach Bush, still, he didn't change the playbook.
Yeah.
He just changed the way that they went about it, made it real simple. Let's take out all the extra stuff with it, and let's streamline it to your brain. That actually should make you play better. Now, here, I don't know exactly what they're doing. I don't really think the 3-3-5 was a style type of thing. I just think that, he's a graduate transfer, so you can go anywhere. So you got kind of like a free reign, and maybe he wants to get back close to home. Maybe he's like, oh, do I want to go through another transition year? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, or try to get somewhere where he possibly could start. But
that's the question. Pause. Let me ask that, because you're now spring. Okay, just run us down real quick. When, as a coach, that you've been, as someone who's been through these processes, winter conditioning is important in getting you prepared. Spring is to kind of give you a little showcase. Fall is really preparation. Is it hard to go into fall and try to learn a new system? Guys have already been seen, they know and are comfortable. What is the hardest thing to do coming into spring or going into fall and trying to win a job?
Well, if you're here in the beginning of the year going through winter condition, I think it's easier because then they get to kind of see how you work, and then you're establishing yourself, foundation. Then that should just flow over until spring, and then if you have a good spring, you can cement yourself there. Now, if you go in the portal and you get picked up, generally, if they're picking you up with the assumption that you're going to start, that means the dude's there and you can't play dead. Now, there's nothing against who's in the portal, but that's the way it is. No different than O'Shawn. He announced late, kind of came in. Now, he kind of started, didn't, but that's just kind of what the deal was. But I think right now with him, it'd be hard pressed for me to think that he's going to go somewhere and start. You would have, if I guess the possibility of starting here, there's no other greater place than to do it here.
Yeah.
What I was thinking. And then if you're really trying to say, okay, I want to advance myself to the next level, Northwestern were 1-11. Okay. They got a top 10 pick at the offensive lineman, and they got a top
first rounder
25 at the lowest, maybe. Okay, let's just say top 50 player. Even if you go 50 in the draft, you are probably close to a first round pick just based on need. A top 50 player at defensive tackle, defensive end. So if you're good, you're good. And I don't really. If I'm him, I would ask him, who over there, if you got in the best shape of your life, really dove into the playbook, who over there would you not think that could beat you out for starting? we're not at a place to where if he comes in and just blowing people up there, they ain't going to play him. We ain't even close to that good.
How different are the conversations with a guy like Wynn versus, say, one of the two young receivers that transfer out? Same conversation, different conversation.
I mean, it's a new coach. I don't know. I mean, I think with Wynn, maybe Wynn was the one that called the conversation because he's a graduate trainer. I mean, look, we need D linemen. Okay.
Yeah.
If there was ever a post to have out there, if there was a college football Craigslist, that's it. So receiver, when you have 16 of them in there, I think that's probably leadership led or like position coach led. Like, look, man, you got a lot of talent. Don't pack up your bag and forget about it. It's just numbers here, and the opportunity isn't here just based on circumstances. And there's been guys that went other places and done it. You'll see guys get drafted, been somewhere else, got another new start, end up getting drafted and playing on Sunday. So, and it doesn't really matter where you go now, especially because receiver, with the way that people run offenses now and defense, well, pretty much at any level, the way they run offense and defenses now, you can get a better, I call it a portable grade from DP at a Power 5 and me at, say, Division II FCS or whatever it is, FBS, whatever you call it. You know what I mean? So I don't know what he's thinking. It's not, maybe they got somebody that they think they got on the hook in the portal, but then you're kind of pushing reset. I always say, like, from a management position, business sense is like, does it cost you more to train somebody new or to rehab and get somebody that you already kind of know, but they don't know anybody on this roster? So it's kind of apples to apples.
Last thing before we let you guys go, Aaron Rodgers. Good deal. Looks like on both sides to me. Looks like both won.
Oh, Green Bay made out like bandits.
Yeah. You there?
They get a first-round pick if he plays 65%. By that time, by game 9, they already got a first-round pick in 2024.
Well,
they got 2 1s for him for a guy that's year to year. And he as soon as they don't make the playoffs, he's in Gotham City. He'll be back in the darkness.
There you go. What are you guys gonna talk about, DP? Days lead.
We're gonna talk about this portal, man.
You're gonna hit this portal. Yeah, it's out there. It's out there.
You got to portal, NBA, Kawhi.
Yeah.
Bron. Oh, I just wanted to ask you, man. Have you ever had a teammate that you wanted to punch like that, Dylan Brooks? If I'm him, I'm fighting him. You done messed up our whole playoffs.
Yeah, I've had situations like that. We'll dig it out another time when we do Thursday. We'll tap. But we got to get out of here. Old school next. Right after this.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting nutri orders, getting equipment ready, and if you haven't already planned, we're on the brink of limited spots. We trim trees and shrubs today at 402-432. Set up a meeting with one of our opening in Bennett.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? Worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish, and does food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how their account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Bleicher with Realty Group, Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador